Hello, guys. Welcome to the Fash and Keller Show. And today we have yet another special guest in our mains. We have no other person but Mr. Christopher Mortram,
Nice.
who is a town planner for the Northamptonshire Council.
Ooh.
You're
Ah.
welcome, Chris. Thank you for joining us today.
No problem. That's fine.
All right, Chris. What got you into planning? What got you into planning?
What got me into planning? Basically, I was unsure about what to do when I finished university in terms of
Okay.
what I was going to actually, pursue as a career.
Right.
So I kind of thought, what's get me outside, can work outdoors, and also interact with people, and use my brain basically in terms of putting together reports and stuff. So that was a career that was open to me, and it's something I did on a voluntary basis at university. So I had an experience of it at university, but didn't really pursue it there.
Mm.
So I waited a few years, worked in some jobs, couldn't care work, um, and then eventually had help from my mum and did a master's in town planning, and then got onto my first contract at North Norfolk District Council. So that was quite a few years ago now.
That's lovely.
Is it something that you, well, as a kid, is it something that you ever thought that you would actually pursue and take on in life?
Not really. I mean, I potentially, but it was never really sort of a career path I thought about when I was at school. It's something that a lot of people fall into. Some people, want to be town planners from quite an early age, but
Yeah.
it's a job that actually a lot of people don't actually know about.
Mhm.
They don't actually know, in terms of if you want to build a house, how do you go about building a house? It doesn't start from just putting the bricks down and getting the builders in to build a house for you. It actually starts from going to see the architect, putting together plans,
Yeah.
diagrams, drawings, and then putting an application form together and submitting it to the local council. Um, Planning can be from the perspective of the local council when you receive the applications
Mm.
from the architects, or the basically the private planners who have architects in house. So you can be a private planner, you can work for an independent company, and put together applications for clients, and then submit those to local councils to determine for you. So
Okay.
these different aspects, private and public. So yeah.
Yeah. That's, I mean, it's very interesting because we come from a background or a culture where planning has never really been the biggest the biggest part of our lives. I'll tell you, as long as you see a piece of land, you'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna put that there. Like you find like a line of houses, and every house has a completely different plan. So the
Mm.
entire structure is not necessarily that. In fact, in my culture, there's no word for maintenance, for example. So it's not part of the culture to like be that much structured as per se. Do you think in your personal life you're a planned guy out? Like, do you have a plan for everything that you do and how you wake up, your daily schedules? Do you have that, or is it something that you execute as a job for you? Or I would love to hear what that is like for you in your personal life as an individual.
Well, I mean, I don't like I said, my personal life's all over the place sometimes, but it tends to be quite routine during the week.
Mm.
I work generally from 9 to 5, so as long as I'm up before, you know, around 8 o'clock, it takes me an hour to get ready and have a breakfast.
Yeah.
If I have to go into the office, work in the office 1 or 2 days a week, then I have to be up about 7.
Yeah.
But working from home is pretty handy.
Okay.
You can literally, plan your day from there really.
Mm.
So you can get a lot done really around the house if you need to, as well as obviously you have to put the hours in for work.
Yeah.
So, if you work shorter hours and you have to make those up the other day to make up your 37 and a half or 40 hours a week.
Yeah.
Um, so in terms of being a planner, yeah, you have to be really organized because you're dealing with probably like 50, 60 applications at one time, which all have deadlines. So you got people there, like applicants, people who want their houses built, barn
Yeah.
conversions, their extensions, their change of uses, their discharge conditions. They all want those done, within a set period usually, mostly. because obviously there's hundreds of thousands or millions of pounds, resting on that. So they are quite, can be quite annoyed sometimes if it's not done in the 8-week time frame, for instance. So you have to try and organise yourself. You use spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets, and your decisions are based on policy. Policy obviously ensures that you have development in appropriate pieces of land. It doesn't affect heritage assets like historic churches or conservation areas. You're limited to what you can do in conservation areas, and this obviously ensures that the preservation of our history. In terms of having not allowing someone to build, say, a pink castle beside a monument, a church monument. And
Just like what you just said, Kela.
No, like trust me, you find a completely different
But I
structure.
also think, yeah,
Yeah.
it depends. I also think it depends on the location.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Uganda,
Mm.
there's some certain estate
Mm.
that if you find a well structured and planned buildings there,
That's if
right?
like for example, someone buys private land
Okay.
and they create an estate.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
if it's more like you can buy this land if you want, guys are going to put whatever they want. You find a triple-storied building next to
a
a bungalow, and there's no parking. So it's
horrible.
and it's not really as bad as I'm saying it, but it really is not that big of a deal.
It looks
'Cause,
good,
yeah,
but it's not planned.
it's not planned.
Yes.
It's not planned. And then also you find that in some cases, because of the cases of corruption, because of the cases of all this stuff, the structure straight from the top, let's say from the government all the way down to the local council, they might not really pay attention until someone makes a complaint. And the person who is complaining depends on how much you have to back yourself up. So it's really interesting to see that you're in this kind of business and it's actually a career. Something very interesting, definitely.
So, Chris, let me take you away from the planning and job and work, and let's come down to a little bit to reality now, right? Um, what makes you happy? Like, what gives your life meaning, and what makes you happy as a person, as a Christopher Mortram?
what makes me happy? Probably interacting with my family, being with my family, making people's lives happy, giving the right decisions at work sometimes, achieving something in personal life. Getting my house made me happy. After many years of not having a house, renting, hated renting because the money just goes into someone else's pocket. But having my own house, gives me a sense of independence. And having my career as well, and obviously, for now, obviously, good health. So it gives me a sense of happiness, and obviously, more happiness is obviously achieving more in my line of work, and obviously, doing things that I haven't done before, going on holiday to places I've never seen, getting a nice new car, some simple things like that, material things, make people happy, personal stuff as well, new relationship, simple things really that everyone wants to be happy.
Do you travel? Do you travel sometimes? Do you have that as something as an thing for your happiness of just to let go? Do you travel? Could be around Europe or anywhere around the world. Do you partake in that?
I used to travel a bit. I've travelled to a few places in Southeast Asia, up into South Africa.
Nice.
I've not travelled properly for a few years. I've been to Europe. I'm part Swedish. My mum's Swedish. I've got family in Sweden, so I go back there to see my brother. But sometimes I don't really count that because I was born there. But it is obviously overseas. But I would like to travel, further afield. I think the last big trip I had was Thailand, to do Thai boxing there, to train for a week.
He's a Thai boxer. He was actually the one who introduced me to Thai boxing. Actually,
Really?
yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. It's hard. It was hard, very hard. Because I didn't sleep for about a week. It was because you go east. If you travel east, it affects. It's to do with jet lag.
Yeah.
Some people it affects differently. With me, literally wide awake every night.
That's crazy.
As soon as I set foot in the UK, I was literally at the wheel of my car and just fell asleep.
Wow. That's interesting. And considering the fact that, of course, you have a background that is away from England itself. So that means you deal with multicultures that come from, different backgrounds in your family dynamics. The fact that you're in planning, you work with different types of people coming from different types of backgrounds. Have you noticed any, I wouldn't say challenges, but have you experienced things that sort of not shock you, but surprise you or give you excitement or anything, just considering the different kind of cultures that you have been able to meet? You're going to Thailand, so that means you're eating completely different food, and you meet some people here who are actually from Thailand as well, and you're dealing with them, you're working with them. How have you been able to deal, or what has been your experience with the multiculturalism that is actually in this country?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously dealing with different groups of people here is obviously try and be understanding towards people, and obviously, help them out if they need help, especially if they're new to the country,
Yeah.
help them out and understand, the ways, of the culture here, and how we do things. I think that's really important, because obviously, if you're coming to a country, you ask yourself a question, it's like, why are you coming to the country? It could be personal reasons, financial reasons, could be just, like I said, you want to just get out and want a break and want new opportunities in a different country. Like I said, my mum obviously came to the UK from Sweden to be my dad. My dad had actually gone over to Sweden, and spent time with my mum there, tried to find work. I believe what I heard was he struggled to find work, or struggled to fit in, and moved back to the UK. And eventually I followed, well, my mum followed with myself. And this is when we were part of the EU, so it was quite easy for me to sort of, move between countries, etc. Although I'm not nothing about Brexit. So I mean, it was quite easy really for me to come here and, I guess, to integrate. So I did it when I was started when I was 2 years old, to actually mix in.
Oh, you're in the roots.
And I've always felt British. I'm probably I couldn't consider myself multi-ethnic, but culturally British.
Yeah.
Multi-ethnic, culturally British. So when I'm in Sweden, I don't massively feel Swedish. So I don't really massively feel. I feel some connection there, but I generally feel like, I just feel British.
Yeah.
And especially when I went to South Africa, because my granddad's obviously Indian South African. So seeing the family over there is
very interesting. I would never think that.
seeing the family over there was very, it's culture shock really in some aspects, and quite intense, in terms of how people, live their lives over there. But generally, you just, like I said, be respectful of different cultures when you interact with those. In Thailand, same thing really. Learn the ways, learn the customs, how people respect you, and what you should do to reciprocate that respect. It's always, classic cases, obviously Thai boxing, before you spar, you say a little prayer and you say respectful, you go easy on each other. This is when you light spar in Thailand. And obviously, you, you understand, people there, are, very hard working. And obviously as like a Western tourist, you've got money to spend. And, I don't want to flash my cash around there. I'm quite, respectful of the people around, and obviously they don't have as much as I have. Some of them don't, and I'm just really cautious there, and really aware of what other people are going through. So even though literally, I mean, I was there 2019, and I literally stayed on the gym, and we stayed on the gym, which was in a swamp in Bangkok. So I didn't really get to explore too much of Thailand. We saw some of the bits and pieces of it. And it was some areas are very touristy, some areas are not.
Yeah.
And obviously there's poverty there, etc. And there's very plush, rich people there as well. So it's a very contrast, very much of a contrast. So how do I negotiate that? Like I said, try and be aware of the culture before you get there. And when I interact with different people here is obviously try and see things from their perspective, and like I said, help them out. Especially when Fauci arrived in my house, it was a culture shock for Fauci. It's like you come to see me, and he was like shaking. He was like, hand over the money first, and then I'll help you out. No, I'm joking.
So, by the way, Chris used to be my landlord.
Okay.
Now his family.
Oh, nice. That is so cool.
Now his family.
Yeah.
Chris, a lot has been going on. I mean, things have changed. I've been here a couple of years now, and things have changed drastically in terms of immigration, integration. Just a whole lot of things have just happened overnight, right? I mean, it's been building up. It's been building up, but right now it's up there. So, would you say that the flags, putting up the flags? I know you've seen the flags everywhere, but in Kettering, in Northamptonshire, just all over the country.
Yeah.
So, would you say the flags being put up there all over the country right now? Do you think it is patriotism or it is for oppression? And I hate to use this word, but racism. Do you think it's just to oppress the foreigners or it is patriotism? What do you think, Chris?
No, it's not to oppress the foreigners. It's to send a message to the government for years and years and years. I mean, British people have been told by people on the liberal left that, Britain's a racist country, etc., and don't be ashamed. Be proud of the BU flag, the European Union flag, rather than the British flag. It's happened the last 15, 20 years now, gradually, and I think people are just frustrated. I mean, when it came to migration, people wanted to control the migration. We were part of the EU, the European Union. These people coming from Europe, so we were taking probably 250,000 a year, 300,000 a year, and we voted for Brexit. They got Brexit, and the expectation was we would have limits on people coming over. But the government that obviously took over, the Tory government, were very, I would say, very liberal, very centre left, and instead of controlling migration, limiting migration from out inside the EU, it went the opposite way, and obviously unlimited migration from outside the EU. And obviously that's fair enough if you live in a country in Africa or Asia or like elsewhere. You want a better life. That's fair enough. But the problem is what people always wanted. Is they're not racist. They just want control, limited numbers. So, and the equivalent number of people that come over here the last 15 years, I believe, is about 7 million people. So if it's equivalent to the Nigerian population, it's the equivalent to Nigeria's population is probably 15, 16 million people coming over in 7 or 8 year period. Wow. So, how would they react? And I think British people have been pretty tolerant about it, generally been pretty tolerant. Are they racist? Of course. There are racist people everywhere, but majority of people are just tolerant but want control. They want limited numbers. They want immigrant communities here and second, third, fourth generation to integrate better into British society. They want to be able to deport people who are committing crimes here. We can't even do that because we're still signed up to the ECHR, which is the European Court of Human Rights. So you can have someone who's committed sexual offences, murder, rape, theft, and still remain here, citing their human rights. Sometimes these cases are mad. So it's a genuine sense of frustration, really. It's a reaction, really, to other flags are acceptable. The rainbow flag's acceptable, the Palestine flag's acceptable, the EU flag is acceptable, the Ukraine flag's acceptable. They're acceptable to fly. Why not the Union or the St George's Cross? The Union Jack is more of an inclusive flag that covers a number of 3 or 4 different countries. The English flag is more specific to England. English do have an identity, and British does have a culture. So really, generally, what it's all about is just sending a message to the government. We are proud of our country. We are immensely proud of our identity, our culture, and we want control. We want to have control. Back in in terms of promoting British values at school, controlling our borders, sorting out the economy. The economy is a broken economy. It's basically what you have in the UK at the minute, and it's quite incredible. Is 28 million people, including yourselves, paying for 28 million people not to work. Madness.
It's mad.
It's mad.
I would believe it if that was happening in my country as well. And I'll tell you, it's very interesting because where I come from, our flag is raised high. I mean, we are very proud of our flag all the time. You'll find it on different buildings. Every house that you enter, you'll find a flag. It's a very common thing. And I found it very interesting here that it kind of was showing a different thing according to different people. And I think that is why I was appreciating your answer about multiculturalism, the fact that you need to respect people when you come into their house, understand what their culture is about, follow the rules, and basically do what would help that culture that you're trying to gain from as well. So it's definitely a very cool thing.
Before you go, I usually do this. I usually just ask some fire questions. Yeah,
Yeah, let's
there's
get it.
nothing to be scared about. Yeah. Okay, London or Kettering?
London or Kettering?
Yeah,
Kettering.
Kettering.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll go with that too.
Tea or coffee?
Ooh, tea.
Okay. Full English breakfast or egusi, Nigerian egusi soup?
Full English breakfast.
You just-